the free market, and we have a very whimsical and wonderfully weak theory. The theory is weak because it doesn't have an 82nd Airborne Division behind it. It has no compulsion, no statutes behind it, no laws, no important surveys of thousands. And that is that near is better than far, small than big, and simple than complex. And down the footnotes at 5-point type, again with sans serif. I like Helvetica because it's the neutral type. It's Swiss, right? So it's neutral. And there, without serifs, which are the little knives, you have personal is better than corporate, and physical than abstract. You're asking about those knives. Well, when the government writes words out and strings them together in sentences and paragraphs over pages and thousands of pages, the type always has serifs, and the serifs are the knives, which are the little feet on the bottom of the A, right? The A has two little feet, which are the serifs, which are the knives, and they cut. And so when the good people write words, they're always cutting and forcing and compelling and coercing. But when free people like you write, it's without serifs. So let's just make it clear that we are very, very particular about that. And so in the footnote, again, personal is better than corporate, and physical than abstract. Get your readers on. You have that one gray eyebrow hair. You can pluck that and put the readers on to read that. Nooganomics is our sponsor, Nooganomics.com. And one of the things that I really like to think about is the theory of obliquity, how things are oblique and how you can arrive often at your goal not by fighting directly toward it in a headstrong way like a Confederate charge at Gettysburg, but you do it indirectly, less like General Lee, maybe, and more like Jeb Stuart coming around from the side, coming at things obliquely. Now, the idea of co-working is in that vein somehow. And we're going to ask Mary Stargel of Society of Work here in Chattanooga. She is the community manager of that enterprise that has announced a recent expansion. What her theory is of Society of Work, where people of all kinds of backgrounds work in the same space. They work in a shared space where there's a lot of openness and kind of mixing up of things, and by oblique ways, a man or a woman as an entrepreneur, a specialist, has by a unique and oblique manner finds a new thing, has a new idea, a new contact. Well, Mary, what is Society of Work, first of all?
Yes, so Society of Work is a shared co-working space. We provide membership to our members. They can work in the open co-working space based on the number of days they want. And we also offer office space for growing and small companies who can come and use our space and share amenities like conference rooms, shared kitchen space, meeting space. So.
Well, people are becoming more specialized, and the internet's making less people be highly specialized. And trades and professions are also perhaps more so. Speaking generally, your idea at Society of Work is different. That somehow we don't have to just drill down in our own areas. Talk a little bit more about these relationships that develop.
Yeah, so our space and our business model is built around community. So the idea that we're doing a lot of different things. We have over 110 different members at Society of Work, and we have accountants, we have photographers, videographers, we have lawyers working in the same space. And what happens, we found, is that when people share space, when they come to work every day, but they're surrounded by people doing different things, they end up strengthening their business model. So the time that it takes for them to get things done is shorter because they're in a connected network of other people who can either help provide the services that they need or can help connect them to the next person that will.
Well, how is it that if I'm an attorney, my work in my lawyering, my legal review and so on, my gathering evidence and so on, how is that time shortened by having across from me an accountant, and over here a designer, and over there a freelance writer? How does that?
Yeah, so that's
work?
A great
Explain
question.
That.
So every business has its own business needs, and so for the accountant, they need new clients. They need to get the word out there about what they're doing, especially if it's a small business. You're the owner and the entrepreneur. So you want to be able to do what you do, but you need the clients to come to you. Well, now you're in a community of 110 people who are learning about what you do. So it kind of spreads the natural networking, just people, the visibility of your business and possible clients that are nearby. But the second part is that, for any small business, marketing and advertising is a huge, huge thing that you're always wondering about. And, a lot of resources go into you trying to become the expert on this subject. Well, right next to you is someone who could help answer a question immediately, whether it's Facebook marketing or how to get the right website up, what you need. And so instead of having to, spend a lot of time researching what's the right marketing tool for my business, there's most likely an expert in the room that can answer that question quickly. So it saves you time on what you're trying to do in building your business.
So it's like, Mary Stargel, it's something like going to a meet and greet early morning, let's say at a Chamber of Commerce meeting where everyone has a chance for half a minute to say something about who they are, what they do. You have some bread and coffee and you mix and mingle, and then everybody goes off to the office by 8. So it's something like that. But
we do it every day, right? So those conversations happen in the kitchen. We have a shared kitchen where there's coffee and tea. And, what happens is you go in to put your lunch in the fridge and you grab a cup of coffee. Someone else is standing there. And we just have those natural conversations. Hey, what do you do? Oh, okay, that's interesting. I've been looking for someone, and then the conversations just happen naturally. And over time, you have a community of people who work together. Those connections just strengthen. Last year, we did a survey of our members and we asked, who knew each other before working here and who worked together. So we have 80% of our members work together, but only 70% of those people knew each other before becoming members at Society of Work. So we see rapid expansion and connections being made.
Well, my listener likes walls and he thinks, well, I don't know that I would want to do that. What about privacy? How about my papers are secure? My check statements are secure. My password on my computer is secure. Do I have to take my computer home every day? My laptop? Can I leave it here? What about possessive space kept by one person and rejecting the use of that space by other people?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we understand that each business has its own space needs, right? It's not one size fits all. So that's why we've created a variety of things for our members. And one is closed office space, both small, medium, and our new expansion gives us even larger space for these teams, because we know that people need to shut the door at night. For accountant, they need to lock and have a secure place for their business. And so that's why we provide office space. You can lock the door, everything's secure, but you're not in isolation. You're not separate from other things that are happening. Your small business is located with an office with your business needs being met, but you have shared conference space. You have other places, other businesses right next door to yours that are going to now know about who you are just from your name being on the door. Even if you go in your office every day and shut the door, you're still more visible because you're surrounded by other people.
This is David Tulis. Thanks for joining us here at 92.7 FM and 95.3 HD4. That's high definition digital radio, piercing out 60 miles. And we are live on Facebook at the Nooga Radio channel and also on YouTube. And we're talking with Mary Stargel of Society of Work. She's the community manager, and Kelly Fitzgerald is her partner in this business. And you've done well, Mary. You originally were on one floor of the Edney building. Is that right?
We started in the First Tennessee building,
okay.
And then moved.
Tell what happened in the way of growth of your operation.
Yeah, so Kelly Fitzgerald is the owner and founder of Society of Work, and she started Society of Work in 2014 in the First Tennessee building, the 13th floor. We had incredible views. We had a wide open space, but only 4 offices. But it was smart on Kelly's part because she was testing this model in Chattanooga. A lot of mid-sized cities don't have co-working space, just based on the need. But Kelly found that let's test it. Let's see what happens. And we found that members started joining, but really needed closed doors. So we moved over to the Edney Innovation Center and started with one floor 6.
And where is the Edney building?
The Edney is located at Market and 11th Street. So right across from TVA and Patent Towers, right in the heart of downtown. So we were thrilled to move there and then opened our doors and immediately were able to offer 15 new offices to our members and found that those quickly filled up. So we were excited to be able to expand one floor up, right? A new co-working space with 18 offices, and then more space for our co-working members. So that's been the last year and a half. It's been incredible. We've seen the community respond, because what happens is people move in. One of my favorite stories is we had someone start their own advertising agency, one person in our first space. And he moved over to the Edney with us and hired 2 more people. And then he grew to a team of 5. And so sadly, he had to move out of our space because we didn't have room for him. So that's what we realized with this expansion is we have room for growing teams. So you can essentially come in the door, start your business, and grow it to a large team.
Well, you mentioned expansion. Well, you're not talking about taking the second floor of the Edney building, but taking space in the former Loveman's building.
Correct.
What say something about that, and
so
who was there before?
So we will be expanding January 2018 to the second floor of the Loveman's building, which has been the heart and headquarters of Lamppost Group for about 8 years. And they believe in community and growing businesses, and have been a foundation for our entrepreneurs and startups in Chattanooga, have done an amazing job of accelerating the businesses in there. And those businesses grew out of that space. So you have a lot of the startups from Lamppost Group who now have other places downtown. So they shifted their model to focus on Dynamo, which is a transportation accelerator, and are doing some incredible things there, but found they didn't need all that space and came to us, just said, hey, is this something you're interested in? And we saw this opportunity and have partnered with them to open this second location for Society of Work. And we're excited. It's a beautiful space, very historic in Chattanooga. And again, only a 6-minute walk from our current location, and, in the heart of downtown, with access to all the things that are happening in Chattanooga's Innovation District.
Well, Mary Stargel, my listener's interested, but he has another question. He was asking about privacy, and you discussed, well, you can secure your papers and your tax statements and so on that might have confidential information. Town.
Oh gosh, you're going to ask that question. So yes, you are asking about parking. I know it's the first question people usually ask us when they come to see our space. So parking, the thing is that there are monthly lots that people can park in. And so, for you, it's probably the EPB parking lot. So that's where most of our members park. It's $75 a month. And we know that you don't want to have to pay one extra thing. So we wrap it into your monthly invoice and take care of all that for you. So you don't have to worry about it. But we understand parking is a pain for people, but we say it's a sign of growth in our downtown, and that, obviously people are River City companies working on parking studies, and there's some great initiatives to that, but we provide parking and try to make it easy.
Well, can you be specific about maybe one or two of your customers who had, or clients at Society of Work, Mary Stargel, who found this advantage that we're talking about of energy, of differing and diverse lines of business, all personal. These are all individuals near each other, often I've seen pictures, I think, on one large table, several leaders, and you have the proprietor there doing his work. The idea of obliquity and sort of getting where my listener wants to go in his business, but doing it indirectly. How is this Society of Work concept, this co-working concept, using kind of going around to get to your target and not straight at it?
Mm-hmm.
Is that oblique?
Yes, it's a new one for me today. But yes, example of this is we have a gentleman who is, one of our members is an intellectual property lawyer. He's actually has business based outside of Chattanooga, but wanted a second location, wanted to be closer to the things happening in downtown. And he set up shop. He came in, opened his office, is that he needed to work on marketing. So immediately he, came to us. We at Society Work, Kelly and I are kind of the connection point, but said, hey, who could help do some copywriting? Who could help with a website and pictures? And so we were immediately able to connect him to those people. But then just him connecting with those people then lets them know, oh, hey, I'm I'm working on, intellectual property. Like, what can maybe they need someone to know about it. And so the person who worked on copywriting, a UTC student who's interested in IP law, and immediately connected it with him. So, that's an indirect way of, being able to connect person to person to person. And we've just seen that story after story after story. We have a member who does an incredible job at custodial services, but is also a caterer. And so what happens is people say, hey, his main focus is his custodial business, but people say, hey, do you know a caterer? And he ends up catering their holiday parties, just different things around town. And that's grown his catering business and strengthened that network for him,
And all the people in Society of Work, all the members, Mary Stargel, you have 110 right now, and you have 34 offices available. They're all free market actors. Right? In other words, there's not someone there who's a regulator or a police officer or a tax official. These are all people in the free market.
Yes,
right?
Correct.
So there's this sense of openness. Well, how is your Society of Work, your business? It is a business,
yes.
A for-profit business. How does it reflect Chattanooga's local economy, local-centric ethic, would you say?
Yeah. So Society of Work, we ourselves are small business and entrepreneurs. We've from just an idea to an expanding business. And seen is that when you bring people together, when you naturally let them know what they're working on, people care in our community. People care about what others are doing, and people care about helping support business. So, as I've mentioned, we see people after people come in, say, what are you doing? I can help with that. I know someone. And I think we've experienced that as well. We haven't done this alone. We haven't built Society of Work on our own. We've been in a place in Chattanooga where people are supporting us, where people are coming and saying, we like what you're doing. We want to be a part. And whether that's, showing up at events, spreading the word, letting other people know. But I think we've seen that by those connections, that makes small business stronger. And not just for ourselves, but for others in our community. And having this opportunity for anyone in Chattanooga to come and be a part of a community, it's going to help accelerate their business. And we say, you do what you do best, and we'll take care of the rest.
If my listener is concerned only about the dollar amount per square foot, let's say, or square inch, how does the rent, let's say the rent at Society of Work, compare to renting somewhere else with just an isolated single office? How would you compare?
So we don't sell per square foot because we sell office space or membership with shared amenities. And so it's not apples to apples per square foot. But if you look at what you get, if you get an office, say you move in, you don't get just that isolated office space. You now have access to multiple open workspace and lounges, because sometimes you want to get out of your office, and that doesn't mean you want to go to the coffee shop. That means you just need to stretch your legs. But then you don't have to take care. Businesses grow and need to hire. So you've now got an attractive place where people want to come and work alongside with you. You don't have to pay for the overhead of kitchen supplies or conference room space. If you tack in an isolated office space and add conference room, you've got a high expense there. You don't use that conference room all the time. You just need it, and you want something nice and professional for your clients. Well, you don't have to worry about that. It's ready the moment you need it. It's ready for when you are at lunch and you want to continue that conversation. You've got a conference room you can book immediately. And so I think that in that perspective is a lower cost for people.
This is David Tulis, and we're talking with Mary Stargel of Society of Work. Now, Mary, how can my listener get a hold of you for a chat further about his small business or nonprofit charity needs?
Yes. So we love to meet people, love to give tours, hear what you're working on, hear how you're growing your business. So you can contact us at hello@societyofwork.com, HELLO @societyofwork.com. You can also call us 423-449-9112. So
can you repeat that number?
Yes, 423-449-9112.
And the email address is hello@societyofwork.com.
Yes.
And we've been talking with Mary Stargel. It seems like a really very fine idea about local economy, the free market, where your decisions on business and purchases is sort of influenced by the people you know, and you tend to make your business decisions based on people whom, in fact, you know them and they're near you, and so you have a growing sort of loco-centric small business perspective right here in Chattanooga downtown. In the Etney building, and then in the beginning of the new year in the Lovemans building as well. Mary Stargel, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, David. Appreciate it.
David Tulis, New Radio 92.7 FM and 95.3 HD4. I've got some important messages for you. Important. Please listen about our sponsors.
Traffic, news, and information. Nooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 90.